Alright, welcome to Lesson 4, Part 1, Slope-Intercept Form. So this is our final way that we're going to learn how to graph our lines. We know input-output tables, we know x-y intercepts, and we know how to graph horizontal and vertical lines. And slope-intercept form is our final way that we're going to learn to graph. So, slope-intercept form, just to recap, slope is equal to m, we call it m, and it's equal to the rise over the run. So it's how much we rise up and down on the y-axis, how much we run left and right on the x-axis. And this next one is what slope-intercept form looks like. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, and b is our y-intercept. And if you remember, the y-intercept is the point where a line will cross the y-axis. So we're using a little bit of what we did last graphing whenever we talked about those intercepts. These first two here, I just want to talk about putting in slope-intercept form and identifying if it is in slope-intercept form or not. So, number one, the first thing you always want to look to do is make sure, is it in slope-intercept form? Is the y by itself? Is the slope with x? And do we have an intercept? So, it looks like for number one it is. And we're just going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So, our slope is whatever number is in front of x. And it looks like our slope here is 1/2. And our y-intercept is whatever is left over after x. And it's this entire thing. So if whatever symbol is with it, that's what kind of number it is. So our y-intercept, our b, is -2. In our example 2 over here, we see that it's y minus 2x equals 4. Well, that's not in slope-intercept form, but we know how to turn it into slope-intercept form. So what we need to do is we need to move that 2x over. And it's a minus 2x. So we add 2x. And remember, we cannot add these two together because they are not like terms. And when we rewrite it, we get y equals 2x plus 4. Always try to put it where your x is first before your intercept, just so you get used to seeing it in that form. So now we identify our slope is 2 and our y-intercept is a 4. So here's 4 more examples where I want you to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Some of them you may have to manipulate, so go ahead and pause the video and work in your group now. And here are the solution to those 4 examples. So go ahead and pause the video again and look these over with your group now. Okay, now let's move on to the meat and bones of what we're going to be talking about, the graphing. And here are the 4 steps I want you to follow each time that you graph in slope-intercept form. The first one is to make sure that it's in slope-intercept form. You want to make sure it's in SI form before you actually go on to any of the other steps. Now sometimes they'll be there and ready for you, sometimes you might have to manipulate them. The second step is to identify the slope m and the y-intercept b, just like we practiced in the previous slide. The third step is to actually plot our y-intercept, our b, on the line. Then after we plot that b, that y-intercept, we're going to use our slope to plot 2 more points. After we have our 3 points on the graph, we are going to actually draw the line. So let's go ahead and go through an example together. Alright, so let's graph this line. So we're going to go through the steps. Step 1, make sure it's in slope-intercept form. Well, this one isn't. we have our y and our x on the same side. So it looks like we need to change it. So we do our plus 1/2 x over here, and we get that y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Step 2, we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So my slope is 1/2, and my y-intercept is -1. Step 3 is to plot the y-intercept. We're going to plot b equals -1. So over here on the graph, I'm going to start from 0, 0, and I'm going to go down to -1. Step 4 is to use the slope. So it's rise over run. Rise over run. So 1 over 2, which means we're going to go up 1, right 2. Because it's a positive 1, we go up. Because it's a positive 2, we go right. So from our first point, from this point right here, we are going to go up 1, right 2. So up 1 over 2 here. From that new point that we just drew, we're going to go up 1 over 2 again. So up 1 over 2. And you know what? I'm going to fix my graph so it's a lot neater. Let's say that there's our first point. So let me get rid of that. So we go up 1 over 2 to right here. After we put our 3 points, we draw a line through those 3 points. And that's our slope-intercept form of our line. So, now it is your turn. So I want you to go ahead and go through those steps and plot this line on a graph that you're going to draw. In the second video we do, I'll show you how to do this on GeoGebra. So go ahead, pause the video, and work through this now. Okay, and here are all the 4 steps and the line graph. So go ahead and I want you to check this with your group, but before you pause the video, I want you to note something. Step 2 here, my slope, my m. Please note that I said m equals 3 over 1. This is a good idea to do if you ever have your slope as just a number, that you write it as the 3 over 1 or 2 over 1. That way you know in your back of your mind what you're doing. Because sometimes you could be working through and you might just forget that it's 3 over 1. So it's just a good habit to get into. So go ahead, pause the video, and check your answers with these answers. Then we have one more example, and I want you to go ahead and pause the video again and work through this in your group now. And here's the solution to this. So again, please, with your group, pause the video, go over this, and check your answers with the answers that I got. So go ahead, pause the video, do that now. And after you're done, go ahead and watch part 2, where we're going to graph some of these on GeoGebra.